Peace, love, and blessings to you. Sandra and Paul here with another episode in our morningness. It's a comfy clothes episode.
Pajama episode.
Pajama episode. And today, we want to, as we have been doing, share with you our lesson from last week. I was going to say it's mainly your lesson, but I definitely do this all the time. What I'm talking about, you may ask? Stressing about things that haven't happened yet.
Yeah. That's definitely both of our problems.
Yeah.
Not just mine.
No, yeah. So basically, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but just worrying about things, how things are going to happen, being all anxious and frustrated about things happening or how they're going to happen and they haven't even happened yet. Just looking at the number of hours you have in the day and seeing how are you possibly going to do all of these things in that period of time. Just looking ahead and just stressing out about what's ahead.
Yeah. It definitely can. And
making up situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like something that I've already overcome in this last week, because I just woke up the same way today.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it was because I coach volleyball, and the hardest thing for me in volleyball is the rotations and subbing in, because there's so many different kids that I have. And just yesterday I messed up a rotation in a game where I had a rotational error and a sub error, and it was so frustrating because I completely forgot that I had subbed in this guy for that guy. And I woke up today and I was worrying about the same thing happening today. Yes, I have a game today. Today is the championship, so pray that we do well. You could do what do you?
Oh, we call it retroactive prayers.
Retroactive prayer. So when you guys see this on Tuesday, you can still pray for us on Sunday. So
what's there to say that there's no limit to the direction that our prayers go?
Right.
Just saying. I've held on to that. Like the way I've used it. Oh, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
But just like the way I've used it sometimes, like if I think about things that I used to go through, I would pray for my past self.
Yeah.
But that's another episode.
Yeah. But that's what happened this morning, and then last week it was stressing out about lesson plans for the week and stressing out about different things of work. And all of this, and I've just barely started the day. I just woke up 30 seconds ago, and I'm already stressing out about different things. That's how it was last week. And this morning, it was the same way, but it didn't last as long because, we've learned from it from the last week. And the thing is that I want to also let you guys know that just because after every week we come and tell you what problems we had and how we overcame it, doesn't mean that all of a sudden that was just the only week in the book of our lives, because it still continues going that way. Yep. It's just that every time that it comes back, whether it's stronger or weaker, you are more equipped to overcome it because you've already gone through it.
You can recognize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the first step is recognizing what's going on. So then, what you just said right now, this morning, it didn't last too long and consume you as much, where just a couple days ago, it really consumed you.
Yeah. Or Sandra was asking if I was okay, and I was like, And that lasted like, I wouldn't say like half the day, but
It was a long time.
but it felt like a long time. But yeah, but worrying about things that haven't even happened yet is like a lack of trust in God. Um, because first of all, you are wanting to put wanting to put yourself in a position to where you know everything. Because us humans, we don't do well with things that are unexpected, and we don't do well with things that we don't know are going to happen yet. So we want for our own sense of consolation, and so we don't feel, what is the word?
I'd say like out of control.
Yeah, like, so we don't feel out of control or anxious or any of that. We want to know what's going to happen, right? And that kind of happens too with just like shows that we watch. Like if we binge watch them and then there's like a cliffhanger at the end, we can't be left with the unsatisfaction of not knowing what's going to happen. So we click the next episode until we're forced to not watch it because it's the end of the season or it's the end of the show.
Which we don't do very often.
Which we don't do very often.
It's just every once in a while there's one series that catches us and we're like, ah. But yeah.
But the thing is, like, we want to be in a position to where we know everything. But following that kind of road or kind of blueprint that our body has because we're sinful doesn't lead to really anything that's useful, but instead it leads to things that are like anxiety inducing and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Or like stress inducing. And those just ruin your day because they lead you to be always thinking about something that hasn't happened, or always thinking about the hour that's next rather than the hour that's now. And it's something that you've told me before, is where like, stop worrying about what's happening, but try to live in the moment that you're in right now. Because when you keep worrying about the hour that's next or the day that's next or whatever, then you forfeit the day that you're already in, because you can't enjoy whatever day that you are currently living in, and you can't enjoy whatever the gifts and the blessings and the pleasures that the Lord has for you that day, because you're blind to it, because you're more focused, you're tunnel visioned in on the day that's after, or however long. It doesn't matter. It could be a year or whatever, right? But there is always a cost to what you're to that. It's not like you can worry about the next hour while also being fully present in the hour that you're in. It's always one or the other. You're always either fully present in one moment, or you're fully present in the time that you're stressing about, in a time that hasn't even happened yet, that you don't even know the outcomes or the results or whatever. It's the same thing that I just said, but it's like what the Lord said, where you can't serve both God and mammon. It's either one or the other. I mean, if you want to be with the Lord more, there's no better position that you can be with the Lord and love God than in the position that you are right now. Because God is not in the future. I mean, he is in the future, but I'm saying he's not. You can't experience him right now in the future, and you can't experience him right now in the past. So the only place that you can experience the Lord's love and his kindness and his mercy and his grace is in the moment that you are living right now. Even 5 seconds from now, if I'm stressing out about what's happening, I detach myself from whatever love that the Lord is trying to give to me. So you stay in that position, and trust me, it's harder. It's harder to do. It's easier said than done. because even just last week, I think it was Friday, where I stress out a lot about time because I really like need efficiency. So if at the end of the time when I overestimate something in time and it overlaps something that I need to be at a certain point in that day. So say I wanted to jog from 12 to 12:30, right? But I have mass at 12:30. Now there's not going to be any gap of time in between there, but I only have 12 to 12:30 that time slot within my day. And if I notice that in the beginning of the day, then I start stressing out only about that hour or that half hour that I have in that day that I can't figure out when to run or when to go to mass, right? And at the end of the day, every single time the Lord allows there to be a space of time where I can do what it is that I need to do and do the things that I would like to do. Granted that they are holy and heavenly, right? So he does that every time. If you just like abandon yourself into his mercy, into his knowledge of just knowing how the day will go. Like if there's a time slot or the day seems really scrunched, but you need to add something into it, but you can't figure out what's going to happen, just let the day go by as it's going to go by, right? Then the Lord, I promise you, will make time for that thing that needs to happen.
That needs to happen.
That needs to happen.
There might be some things in there that don't have to.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Even though we might think so.
Yeah. So like with our car situation the other day, where we had to go to mass at 5 p.m., but Sandra didn't get off until 3, and the MVD places take like 50,000 hours. And then I had to go print out a paper, and then I had to go do this, and I had to go do that, all within that 2-hour time span. And I was so stressed out about that because I was like, okay, we can do these small things. But once we get to the MVD, that's going to be an hour and a half long thing. And then we still need to drive 30 minutes to go to mass because mass is at 5. Once this place closes, you can see how that goes. It's super stressful. And if I could only hear myself right now, like telling myself that just a couple days ago, it would have been amazing because I could have freed up at least half of the day doing more productive things and embracing God's love rather than worrying about a 2-hour time slot that I couldn't change however it happened. Because no matter what you do, time is going to continue going on, right? It is the Lord who will divide that time for you and allow it to all play out in a smooth way if you give yourself to him. So stressing out about things that haven't happened and worrying about something in the future will not benefit you in your present.
And those around you.
Yeah. Especially if it's the case for me where like I can't hide my feelings.
No.
At all. So if I'm upset, even if I don't want to make someone feel bad that I'm upset, it's not like I can change being upset. If I'm upset, I'm upset. Just deal with it. And that's not like I try to do it in a like in a rude way or to instigate anything. It's just that's just who I am. Like if I try to fake being the emotion that I'm in at that moment, then I get even more emotional and I can't do it. So that's what Sandra's saying. Where if you're stressing out about something, you're not only stressing yourself out, but you're also stressing out those around you.
And those you come in contact with.
Because you feed that energy to them, whether you want to or not. And honestly, that's something that I'm still learning. is like being aware of my feelings and the surroundings that are around me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, stressing out about time
Wow.
or situations or events that haven't happened yet, and trying to play out a scenario in your head that most of the time never even happens that way, but we always tend to think of the worst rather than what could happen in the best way.
That was literally what I was going to say.
Oh, you can continue.
Oh, I mean, you covered like the Holy Spirit was just like.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
That was all you. I was amazed. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot right now.
What are
This
you
is
going to?
amazing. Oh yeah, sorry. I was in a moment of awe. But yeah, just what my love was saying is that a lot of the times, if we're thinking about that future and stressing out, we're stressing out because we're obviously creating a future that has negative things in it. Like we're just so prone to thinking the worst and thinking about how bad things can go. So that obviously, I mean, if you're thinking about wonderful things, it wouldn't stress you out. So that's one of the things that, like you're saying, removes us. Not even removes us, but like gets us to be in this emotional state that we don't even have to be in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, whenever we're not fully in the present, we miss out in so much. And the very things that we're worried about, like the time management issues, getting things done, being able to know and prioritize what actually needs to get done and what doesn't. God, in the present moment, will give us the wisdom, will give us like the strength, will give us all the gifts that we need.
Even financial needs.
Yeah.
I come and I talk about that because of experience with my own family. Every single bill that we needed to pay, we didn't know how we were going to pay. And like, God bless my mom, but she is the one who is like the trusting fort. Like she is like the rock of trusting that the Lord will somehow bring about some financial benefit to us so that we can pay what we need to pay. And she did not stress out about how she was going to pay something next month. She was always figuring out what she can do so that what she could do for the Lord and how she can move through each day trying to pay the financial needs that she needs to do, rather than worrying about what's going to happen next month or the month after. And every single time, the Lord has helped in some way, shape, or form. And so gratefully, we've never had to been like, I mean, obviously me, my sister, my dad, but my mom didn't have to stress out about what she was going to have to do in order to get these financial things done. And I'll tell you that it led her to so much peace. I don't know if it led her because she was just always there, but she just had a lot of peace and like comfort. She didn't stress. She stressed out if we ate stuff, if we did or did not eat, but she didn't worry about how we were going to get that food. So, or if we didn't sleep, but she was stressed out about like us because we're her kids, and moms worry about their children, right? Um, but I'm saying even financial things that you are worrying about, in this month, like this month, next month, the month after, next year, or whatever, even financially, the Lord has got you covered in any situation that you need to. And if things don't play out the way that you need them to play out, it is the way that the Lord wants them to play out. And he will not abandon you. There's, even if people, places, things, they all like forfeit their connection to you, the Lord is always there. Whether you're paralyzed and can't move, or whether you're an Olympic athlete, whether you're rich or poor, whether you're blind or you can see, it doesn't matter. The Lord loves you for everything and all that you are, and he will not let you go through something that he knows that you can't overcome. And that comes from the time management thing and financial things and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the more that you trust in the Lord, the more you can see his hand in things, and the more you can see his movements and receive everything as a blessing.
Yeah, even if things happen that are unexpected, that you didn't see coming, um, when you're in that space and in that place of completely surrendering and trusting the Lord, like there is something there, that part of your life is like a downhill moment. There's something there. There's a treasure there. There's something positive that God will craft out of that and make you stronger, make you just even better for our life journey in some way, shape, or form. So, like, especially when we say, like, God's always going to help work things out, like, it might not always be in the way that we think, because we always want what we think is good, like the wealth and the success and like all this stuff. And that isn't always necessarily what's the best thing for our souls and our hearts to be able to do what we're supposed to do, like as Christians and as brothers and sisters, which is to love one another, to be selfless, to be giving of ourselves. Like, if we're in certain positions of life where we're just so into ourselves or in really good and high positions, that might not necessarily, it might be great for you and your family, like great, you're like self-sufficient, you are not worried about finances, but like how is it impacting the way that you are able to serve others? Like, is your heart thinking about the needs of others first, or are you then worried about yourself? Like, it's kind of just like God uses what the situation that we're in or the situations that we've gone through to help make us all better. Like, that's the whole point, that we're all here as one big family to help each other in the craziness that we face every day. Like, it's a constant fight and spiritual battle that we're in, and we each are given gifts and talents and blessings to help each other and to help one another. So that that place of having to trust and surrender in a present moment will allow us to stay in tune with what it is that God truly intends for us to do, so that we can help each other get to a better place, like as humanity as a whole, because we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that we're constantly having a lot of work to do. There's always a lot going on, but and that's something that, like, you can take that as like a stress and a worry, like, oh my gosh, like there are all these awful things happening, but God takes if we each gave God some airtime in our day, like a airtime in the present moment, there are billions of us on this planet, and if we each tuned in to what God was actually wanting for us at every moment of every day, lots of things can change for the better. And what comes through is love, because that's ultimately what he wants, is for us to love him first, so then we know how to love each other. um, Something so big and so, like, such ominous problems, they are not that big if you realize that nothing ever rests on just one person's shoulder. Each of us have a responsibility. And so if you in one moment tune in to love, you will be able to love someone else, and that person will then be able to love someone else. That person will have taught someone else how to love. That person
Yeah, it's a
then would
chain
have
effect.
been like, oh wow, I haven't seen kindness in this world, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so then they feel better about themselves. That person then is able to say something positive to someone who might have thought about killing themselves that day. Then that's a life saved. Like, it's a positive chain reaction. Because if you think about when we stress out, like, think about if, like, you're stressed out about a day, you're sitting in a car, then you have road rage. So then you're like angry to people, making people angry, potentially causing risky and dangerous situations, and that could have caused a car accident. That car accident, who knows how that's actually impacted a whole family or someone's life. And then that, like, everything is connected. So if you try and think about the chain reaction of, in the ripple effects of love versus anxiety and frustration, like, yeah, it's such a beautiful thing to think about. So when we tune in to the present and don't stress out about the things that haven't happened yet, we are tuned into love. And we are then at that point, like, sowing love into this world as we are called to do. Man, this is like good lessons for the both of. I'm like hearing you
Yeah.
talk, and I'm like hearing what I'm saying. I'm like, whoa, yeah.
Yeah. No, we learned
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So I didn't think I was gonna say anything, because I thought you pretty much covered so
Well,
much and
I guess God
everything.
had more for you to say.
But yeah. Do you feel good about closing it there?
Yeah, I think we can
Okay.
close it there.
So yeah. Stay tuned in. Well, basically, that's what we miss when we are stressing about future things, whether it's later on in the day, later on in the year, month, like the rest of our lives. However, wherever we're looking, how far we're looking, we're missing out on what God wants to give us in the present moment. So we continue to pray for you, pray for us as well, because we're learning just as much as you are. But thank you so much for tuning in, and just remember that
You are loved.